Well, folks, we got a bombshell trade report coming in from NBA insider Marc Stein because on Friday, he reported that the Golden State Warriors are going to explore a trade featuring Jonathan Kuminga for the Miami Heat's Andrew Wiggins, something we actually talked about on Thursday. But here is the report from Marc Stein saying, leaked sources tell me that one avenue that will certainly be explored is the prospect of a Jonathan Kuminga for Andrew Wiggins swap, with potentially bringing Wiggins back to the Bay Area after he was traded out last February. And we did talk about this on Thursday. And you know what? I'm going to call some of you guys out. Some of you in the comment section were like, well, wasn't this reported a month ago in like November? And I was like, not so fast. There are growing reports and rumors that the Warriors are seriously contemplating a run at Andrew Wiggins. We talked about how last Monday's Jimmy Butler injury, torn ACL out for the year, is going to potentially make that ramp up. And it's going to be something they really try to get done prior to the February 5th trade deadline before Steph Curry gets another year older and another year of not competing in the playoffs in April and May. This is going to be something that continues to be mentioned in the next couple of weeks. And we actually talked about this on Twitter prior to filming this video on Friday. So get more content on Twitter/X by following me at Nick_Roloff. The first 5 followers from today's video get a shout out on a show in the next couple of days. But if you did watch that video on Thursday where we talked about the Lakers and Warriors being interested in Andrew Wiggins, this was the trade idea that I floated out there. And it would have to be a complicated deal because the Warriors are a second apron hard cap team, so they can't take any more salary back than they're giving out. Maybe not, let me rephrase. They're not a second apron team because you would not be able to aggregate contracts in that regard, but they are very much hard capped at the second apron, so they can't really take much back in return. That's what I was trying to get at here. But this does work. You trade Andrew Wiggins, Andrew Smith, you get Jonathan Kuminga, Buddy Hield, and a first-round pick. Do you want it to be in 2026, 2027? It doesn't really matter. But the point I'm trying to make is that if you trade Wiggins for Kuminga, you better be getting a first-round pick, and I would do that in a heartbeat. Like, I would not joke, and maybe this is short-sighted, if I was offered that exact trade today, I would not think about the potential ramifications that would potentially take place over the next couple of weeks by making this deal. I would say yes immediately. And I want to make this clear as well. I am not accepting that trade because we are getting Jonathan Kuminga or Buddy Hield. The only reason why I would jump in and do that in a heartbeat is to get that first-round pick. In an ideal world, you get a draft pick from Golden State in 2027. Why would that be ideal? Well, because of Miami's draft allocations, they don't have a 2027 pick. The stipend rule, right? You can't trade picks in back-to-back years. If you receive a 2027 first-round pick from Golden State, instead of going from 2 tradable first-round picks right now to 3 with that added pick from Golden State, because you'd have one in 2027, it would allow you to trade one in 2026, 2028, 2030, and 2032, allowing you to have 4 unlocked tradable first-round picks if you acquired one today in 2027 from Golden State, which would make acquiring Giannis, if he asks out, very much easier. And there are more growing rumors and reports about a Warriors run at Andrew Wiggins. I mean, Brett Siegel reported this not only 24, 36 hours ago as well, saying that Trey Murphy is the dream trade target for the Golden State Warriors. But if that can't come to fruition, DeMar DeRozan and Andrew Wiggins are viewed as the next best options. And I think it's abundantly clear that the Warriors want Wiggins. Can we go back a year in our own right? The Warriors did not want to trade Andrew Wiggins to the Heat for Jimmy Butler. They didn't. They wanted to keep Wiggins and keep Jimmy. The only issue is, because of contracts, they had to trade away Andrew Wiggins. If it was up to them, I think they would have almost kind of kept Andrew Wiggins and traded 2 first-round picks. Like, if it was up to them, I think they would have rather done the DeAnthony Melton. No, it wasn't DeAnthony Melton. Oh, what was that? It was the Dennis Schroeder at the time. There was someone else salary-wise. Oh, Kyle Anderson Anyway, it would have been salary and 2 first-round picks in the Jimmy Butler deal. But instead, because they had to give away Wiggins to make the salaries work, they took out potentially a first-round pick and put in Andrew Wiggins. Like, they want Andrew Wiggins in that locker room. Everybody loves him. Steph loves him. He knows the system. He plays hard. He does the little things right. So I think they would like to bring him back. So I do believe we are going to continue to hear a lot of chatter about a potential Andrew Wiggins Warriors trade over the next couple of weeks. And I'll ask you this. We've asked this in the past. I'm going to ask it again. Would you trade Andrew Wiggins? Whether it be to the Lakers or the Warriors, doesn't matter. Would you just trade him, period? Type Y for yes or N for no. I think it's something that needs to absolutely be considered. And I've talked a lot about it, and it's going to be probably overkill, beating a dead horse, because if you watch every video we put out, and I know there are people that do that, you would hear me say almost every video I've filmed over the last week and a half, at some point or another, I would trade Andrew Wiggins. And it's not me saying this to be repetitive. But when you're asking me the best path forward for the Miami Heat in its pursuit of Giannis in the offseason, in the next 2 weeks before the deadline, or even in the pursuit of winning an NBA title within the next 5 to 6 seasons, the best path forward, in my opinion, is trading away your veterans like Norman Powell and Andrew Wiggins to acquire more draft capital, whether that helps you make more moves for Giannis or just other moves in the offseason, or draft players that help build you a really solid young nucleus. I believe that is the best path forward. And I think we are setting up for a potential best-case scenario for the Miami Heat. Whether, I hate to keep on saying this as well, but the entire trade deadline does seem to revolve around Giannis if he asks out or not. But whether Giannis requests a trade or not, the bidding war that could be created over Andrew Wiggins with Golden State and Los Angeles would benefit Miami a ton. Because if the Warriors are now being linked to Wiggins and pursuing him aggressively, well, we know the Lakers' top trade target that isn't Giannis is likely Andrew Wiggins. And maybe they up their offer. If they were unwilling to offer Hachimura, Gabe Vincent, or Kleba, connect in a first-round pick for Wiggins, and it's just maybe like connect in expirings and no first-rounder, and now they hear Golden State's going to be in the mix, and they're like, well, we can't let Golden State get him. So then maybe they now offer the package that we want. Or they up their offer, and it's somehow second-round picks as well. Or like, I think a bidding war could be forming for Andrew Wiggins at the point I'm trying to make. And if that's the case, you need to absolutely ship him out. And when you talk about the Kuminga aspect of it and what Miami would get in return from Golden State in that trade idea that we talked about and Marc Stein floated out there, this really has nothing to do with Miami's end of things, but we know for 1,000% certainty Jonathan Kuminga likes Miami and wants to be in Miami. Where do you think the rumors and reports of Kuminga sign and trade with Miami in the offseason originated from? It wasn't from Miami's end. It was from Kuminga's party. So we know he wants to be here. We know he would welcome that. So that is something that we also have to factor into the equation as well. And we're going to talk about Jonathan Kuminga here in a second. But today's show is brought to you by PrizePicks. The big game in football is about 2 weeks away. And if you want to get in on the action before the football season comes to a conclusion, well, get started with PrizePicks, where you get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. They have so many great features, early payouts. If your lineup gets off to a hot start, you don't have to wait till the lineup and game's end. You can get cashed out early, but they also have stacks, meaning you could put the same player up to 3 times in your lineup. If you want to go to football, I'm a Drake May guy, North Carolina football fan. I would go more on his passing yards this week. But if I wanted to, I didn't. I could also go more on his fantasy score, on his rushing yards, and really just make it a Drake May palooza. But instead, I did Drake May passing yards alongside more on Matthew Stafford interceptions and less on Rashid Shaheed receiving yards to make it interesting in both games on Sunday. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Let's talk about Jonathan Kuminga now, because it's been an interesting 365 days in the calendar year for Kuminga, right? He's pending free agent, restricted. clearly wants to leave Golden State because he's not getting a large role there, doesn't believe he can flourish and be the best player he can possibly be in an offense scripted around Steph Curry, which I don't disagree because Kuminga is not a jump shooter. He is a slasher. He's a guy that gets to the rim. Problem is, in that system in Golden State, everything revolves around Curry and everything revolves around the three-point arc. Still think it's a good fit for him, personally. Now, would that be different in Miami? I don't know. But he ultimately signs a 2-year deal in Golden State this offseason because nobody else would give him a legit offer because they just think Golden State would have matched, but then doesn't get to play a lot, right? He's only playing 20 games this year, but it's not because of injury. He was logging 16 straight DNPs until Tuesday night when they had to play him because Jimmy Butler's not in the lineup anymore. I also don't think Kuminga's contract is bad at all. $22.5 million this year. And then in 2026-27, it's the final year of his deal at $24.3 million, but it's a team option. Which means if you don't want to keep him around your locker room, you could decline it and he becomes an unrestricted free agent and it's expiring money. Or you could opt in, keep him because you like him, / use him as trade bait and a contract in the offseason. Like, that's why I am doing this trade. If I get a first-round pick and Jonathan Kuminga, I am all in because he's still young. He's under 25 years old. Even though he doesn't play the best brand of basketball, his defensive lapses, which I'm sure Eric Spoelstra would absolutely hate, considering how he deals with Kel'el Ware, the contract isn't bad. And if you ultimately don't like his fit in Miami and you don't think he can work in your scheme and locker room, well, then he can be traded again. You could use that $22 million this year before the deadline because you could reroute him before the deadline since we're that close. Or you could wait till the offseason, pick up that team option, and use his contract in a trade for a Giannis, for a different guy. We know Brooklyn could be interested. We know Sacramento could be interested in Kuminga. Milwaukee may even show interest, right? They might value, no joke, the Bucks could value Jonathan Kuminga a lot more in a trade for Giannis than Andrew Wiggins. Why? Because Kuminga could flourish in a new system. He's a lot younger than Andrew Wiggins. The contract is a little bit cheaper as well. I think for many teams, I would say maybe 25 of the 30 NBA teams, everybody would rather have Andrew Wiggins. But for a team like Milwaukee in their current situation, if they were to trade Giannis, might actually value Kuminga more. So this could help you not only in a Giannis trade, but it also gets you another first-round pick. It just provides you with a lot more flexibility going forward. And if the Heat do make a move, we will have you covered. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and lock us in. Now, I know a lot of people in the chat will be like, Nick, Kuminga's hurt. Well, that may be true. On Thursday, he did leave the game between Golden State and Dallas with an injury and did not return. By the way, before he left, he had 10 points on 3 of 3 shooting. I actually think it might have been 13 points. No, it was 10 points. He went 3 of 3 from the field and 4 of 4 from the line. He had 10 points. He had 20 points in his Tuesday game against the Blazers, first game after having 16 straight DNP, shot 7 of 10 in that game, by the way. But Anthony Slater, ESPN, who covers the Warriors, says not serious injury. So to me, we know it's not serious. He might be out a week or two, and if you traded for him today, per se, he might not be ready to play in a week or two. But the injury doesn't deter me because it's not serious, and he's likely going to be back. This, to me, needs to happen. And I don't know if Golden State would be willing to do that trade we floated out earlier, which, once again, if you don't remember, Buddy Hield, Jonathan Kuminga, and a first-round pick, whether it's this year, 2027, or a different year. That trade offer for Drew Smith and Andrew Wiggins. If that is on the table, guys, there is not a world where Miami should be keeping Andrew Wiggins. Not a world. Kuminga in a first is too good to offer. It is. A young guy like that on a favorable contract that you can reroute or keep, and an unprotected first-round pick for a guy that is 30 years old, getting to that age point, has a $31 million player option next year. There's no world, none. If we know that is on the table, they keep Andrew Wiggins. Pat, let's go to the pen. Get him up and moving. Get him up and moving. I'm signaling. Hey, get Minter up and moving. He's got to be active, man. If he's not making, like, I get it. You want to wait for Giannis. I get it. That's your whale. I hate it because it's so unlikely to happen. And even if they do ultimately get the Giannis trade request, do we think they're going to get it done based off recent history? I say no. But as I close my eyes here and talk for the last minute or two, all I'm thinking, all I'm hoping for is Pat Riley to finally do something that makes sense. You look at the most recent moves he's made. They've been horrible. Ever since 2019, it's been downhill, guys. Close your eyes and think about it. Jimmy Butler, great signing. Andre Iguodala, Drake Crowder, great signing. But since then, Kyle Lowry signing trade. Terrible. Did not work out. Traded a first-round pick for Terry Rozier. Think about the lack of free agent signings, but the ones they make. Dwayne Dedman. Mo Harkless. Belly. Remember him? I forgot how you say his name. Valencia? They were so bad. And sure, the Norman Powell trade has worked so far. But it's been train wreck. And as we open our eyes and think about the future of this organization, the only way to get better is to be proactive. But that is a word that old man doesn't know the definition of. That'll do it for today's show. If any trade happens, we'll have you covered on Twitter first. And remember, first 5 followers from today's show get a shout out on a show early next week.